Hello and welcome to another weekend of Championship predictions from the Honest Football Podcast. I'm Craig Savage. With me, as always, is Daniel Cody and Charlie Betts. Let's have a quick recap of the mini midweek fixtures from Matchday 35.5, and it was fantastic midweek for Daniel Cody. He pretty much got at least a point on every fixture of 3, including a perfect score of Queen's Park Rangers 1, Wycombe 0. Myself and Charlie only got a point each, just on QPR. So the table looks like this. I'm on 263 with 46 perfect scores. Daniel Cody is on 249 with 40 perfect scores. And Charlie's on 225 with 33 perfect scores. So let's start with the Friday night football. It is Blackburn Rovers versus Brentford. Charlie, Brentford pretty much got back into advantage because Swansea only picked up a point in midweek.
Yeah, I've just got to share something with the viewers that I normally have some stats up for every team, but I've basically had I'll put it on Twitter. I've had a malfunction with the laptop, and I can't. So I'm flying completely solo on this because I can't get any of my stats up on my laptop. So anyway, but not that makes any difference because I'm lagging behind. But in terms of the answer to your question, yeah, I think it's an opportunity for Brentford. We spoke about this before in terms of mentality and that kind of thing, and I just hope that this isn't another one of those examples. Blackburn of late, I mean, we've not been singing their praises, but they have picked up the odd few points here and there. So I just hope, I think on paper, Brentford should win this, given, like you say, what the recent form. But I just worry about the mentality. I think they'll have enough. Actually, no, I'm going to change it. Championship favourite scoreline. They're going to bottle it 1-1.
Cody?
I'm going to play the other way. I actually think that Brentford getting the unintentional break is probably going to help them. They've had now a week and a half off. I know that the last thing was still that bizarre press conference or the bizarre post-match interview from Thomas Frank, but I don't think against anyone else other than Norwich, they probably would have lost that game. So even though Swansea got a point and Blackburn got a point against Swansea and Buckingham helped me out there, I can't do it again. I'm going to go for a Brentford win, but it'll be tight. 2-1.
Yeah, I have to agree on a Brentford win, to be honest. Obviously, Blackburn still haven't won in a they stopped the rot. Obviously, losing straight games. Obviously, picked up a good point against Swansea, but they're playing another opposition up there in the table again, Brentford. I think it goes right, to be fair. When obviously Brentford having that time off has probably helped them a little bit. Also trying to get players back fit and just working a few things. Obviously, don't want to happen to the same situation as he had last season. I'm just completely capitulating at the end of last season. I think Brentford will win this game. I'm going to go by the odd goal. I'm going to go 1-0 to Brentford. Next, it's Kenilworth Road. It is Luton Town versus Swansea City. Swansea City, a 4th game in a row now with gaining a penalty.
Well, yeah, and to be fair, we talk about those teams at the top. You've got to make those fine margins count, and they have. So you can't really argue with it. I think the thing that worries me most as a Luton fan for this is partly that we're on TV, which normally doesn't end that well, particularly at the weekends. And when we played a very good Norwich side, who are probably the only side better than Swansea in the league, in my opinion, we came up very short. Despite putting in a spirited effort, there wasn't the same level of quality. So I find it hard to back against a Swansea win. And I know the law hasn't happened for about 2 months now, but I'm going to steal it before you two do. 2-0 Swansea.
Yeah.
I'm going to go the opposite way. Actually, I'm not going to go the opposite way. I'm going to go... I think, do you know what? Obviously, Luton lately, but they're playing, to be fair, they're playing well. They're playing okay. Obviously, Norwich game, as you said, spirit performance, positive quality. Norwich quality shone, to be fair. But obviously 2 wins before that, and then other results were better. But I think this Luton can spoil the party here for the top of the Championship. I'm going to go for the Championship's favourite scoreline of 1-1. Charlie?
I'm going to go, I think similar form. I think the game will play a very similar way to it did for Norwich when Luton played Norwich. So I'm going to go for another unfortunate 3-0 win for Swansea. I know they haven't scored a lot recently, but I just think, unfortunately, Luton there's still a few issues that I haven't quite addressed yet. So 3-0 Swansea City for me.
Next up, Birmingham City versus Bristol City. Charlie, Nigel Pearson, he's had a bit of a mixed start to his reign.
Yeah, but there was a reason the team were in mid-table as well. I appreciate there was managerial changes and stuff, but he's not going to. It's a cliche. I don't like using it. Rome wasn't built in a day and all of that kind of thing. But he's obviously taken them in the right direction. I think if this had been Birmingham away, I might have even gone for a fancy to draw. Birmingham at home just really have struggled. They really have. So I haven't looked confident there. Although Karanka seems to have patched up a little bit, I still don't think the home form's to be desired. And I think this sort of suits Pearson quite a bit. So I'm going to go for a Bristol City win by 2-0.
Ready?
I'm not quite sure. I'm torn between the Championship's favourite scoreline and 1-0 Bristol City because, albeit Bristol City have lost their last two, they're against two very good teams. And we said in the manager special that their run at the start wasn't particularly pleasant. QPR away from home as good as anyone in 2021, and Bournemouth for a top six side. So you can't judge them too much on that. Birmingham back to losing ways, but they've definitely shored up defensively. So I can't see them letting in more than one. But do they score? No, 1-0 Bristol City.
So you went 1-0 Bristol City in the end. I think there's going to be more goals than you think in this game, to be honest. More than what you two put together. I don't know. I really don't know about this game. Like, I haven't seen anything special yet. Despite that 3-1 win away at Swansea, I haven't seen anything special yet from this Bristol City side under Nigel Pearson. Birmingham, yeah, I've said enough about Birmingham this season. I'm going to go Bristol City to win 3-1 at St Andrews. Up next, Bournemouth versus Barnsley. Charlie, Barnsley's winning run came to an end against a spirited Derby side. Yeah,
it's hard to know how much to read into that because Derby are very much like that themselves in the sense of, some weeks they fold, other weeks they're very strong and resolute. So, it's what was it, 8 wins on the bounce for Barnsley? You can't be sniffing at that. But then they're coming up, and I say this slightly with a slight amount of gritted teeth. They're coming up against a Bournemouth side who've been grinding out wins because I didn't have that much faith in Jonathan Woodgate. So I'll leave a bit of humble pie on it, but they have been picking up points here and there. But I genuinely think I'm going to back Barnsley this week. I just think actually maybe the pressure of getting those 8 games and all of that is lifted now. Obviously they're still lose, but there's not everyone going the big foray about, how can they make it 10 games unbeaten, 10 wins in a row, etc. So on that basis, Barnsley to win a dogged 1-0.
This is a tight one, to be honest. I'm not sure. Because this is good. Obviously, both teams in and around the playoffs. Bournemouth, I'm not that expansive Bournemouth from what we've seen from yesteryear. Obviously, Barnsley at the moment is flying. And it's a credit to them, considering where they were last season. I think we keep saying this every week, but it is an absolute credit. It's an absolute joy to them to spoil the top 6 pie at the moment. But I'm going to go for an entertaining draw. I'm going to go for 2-2. Cody.
I also had a draw, but I think it's going to be a really low-scoring, cagey game. I'm almost tempted to go for 0-0, but I'm going to bottle it because Bournemouth have scored in all of their last 6 games. That's the first time Barnsley haven't scored in absolutely ages, obviously, because of the back-to-back wins. So we're going to go for Championship's favourite scoreline. First of the day, 1 apiece.
Up next, it's 3rd versus 4th in the form table. It's Cardiff City versus Watford at the Cardiff City Stadium. This is going to be a tight affair, Cody.
It is. I really don't know what to go with this because although Mick McCarthy's winning bounce has ended, they're still picking up results. They're still unbeaten in a long time. Watford aren't as strong on the road. They had that interesting defeat at Bournemouth, but otherwise they've been pretty faultless in recent weeks. So the safe money is a draw, but I don't play safe because I need to catch Craig at the top. So against all better judgment, I think Cardiff are going to wipe the floor with Watford and Watford are going to have an off day. Cardiff will score loads of set pieces. I'm going 3-0.
Wow.
Deserve my 3 points if I get that.
I'm going to go for a Cardiff win as well, but it won't be. I don't think it'll be 3-0. I think it'll be a lot tighter than you think. And I do think set pieces play a key role in this game, to be honest. I don't see Watford being as strong. If Cardiff can do what Bournemouth did against them the other week, obviously quick free kick, long ball, open the gap, we'll keep them more up there. Harry Wilson just behind. I see that being real trouble for Watford, to be honest. But Andre Gray just come back and started scoring again. So finally, so where do you get that balance from? But I think Cardiff will win this game. I'm going to go for 2-1. Charlie.
I was leaning towards a Cardiff win and a Mick McCarthy special, but actually, I don't know. I think I'm going to be opposite Dan and play it safe. I'm going to go down the middle. I think Watford will probably approach this with a bit more. A draw for them is not a bad result, is essentially what I'm leading towards. Cardiff have just been flying, but I think that Watford have got enough about them, albeit away from home, their form hasn't been as good, but they've still got enough about them to keep them out. But I don't think there'll be goals at the other end. I'm probably massively going to regret this. No, I'm not going to go for 0-0. Championship's favourite scoreline, 1-0.
Up next at Pride Park, it is Derby County versus Millwall. Charlie, Derby County, we say, Wayne Rooney's doing all right, but when you look at the form table, only 1 win in 5.
Well, I think the thing was we are comparing it against the first few games of Wayne Rooney, in which case he probably is doing all right in the sense that, the first 3 or 4 games after Cocu left were pretty much disastrous, weren't they? So, it's relative. Is he doing well for Derby's expectations and standards pre-season? No. Probably is he doing well given maybe the circumstances that he found himself in and the club were in after he retired as a player? I would say he's doing a reasonable job, yeah. He's coming up against a strong, resolute Millwall side who I can't quite pin down as to whether they are out of form, in form. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is their sort of expectation really in that sense? So I think Derby at home might feel like they have to come out a little bit more, and I think that plays into Millwall's hands. So I'm going for a counter-attacking Millwall win by 2-1.
Ready?
Yeah, I kind of get what Charlie's saying, because Millwall, after a good win against Preston, they were relatively toothless with a lot of the ball and a lot of chances. Didn't really hit the target. Derby haven't scored in 3 games, which is sort of returned to Cocu form, but they did have a bit less possession in the last game against Barnsley and were resolute defensively. Millwall, the thing that concerns me is they are probably one of 2 or 3, the only 2 or 3 mid-table teams in the Championship that can't really hit the playoffs or go down. And Derby have got a lot more to play for and need to win because the teams below them largely have games in hand. So I'm going to go for a Derby win. I think they will get a goal at last, but it's going to be a squeaky game, 1-0.
Yeah, this is a tight game, to be honest. As Charlie, you just said, obviously, what Millwall doing at the moment. Obviously, they're last 6 games, they are currently 11th. Win, draw, loss, win, draw. Win, loss. So it's that inconsistency, and we said this about Millwall all season: the inconsistency of Millwall, along with the Prestons and albeit Luton, to be honest. Yeah, Derby, to be honest, I'm a bit critical on that. Asking you that question, obviously. 1 win in 5, but they're slowly creeping up the table. It all points to a draw for me because Cody's taking 1-0, but I think I'm going to go for 1-1 in this game. Up next to the Riverside is Middlesbrough versus Stoke City. Charlie, Neil Warnock has every right to be fuming from last week's game.
He does, admittedly, maybe it hasn't quite gone his way in terms of penalties and stuff, but that doesn't paper, for me, that papers over the cracks of some of the issues that Borough are having at the minute. You look at the players they've got, he's got his disposal, the start they made to the season. I'm not saying he's good at subterfuge and trying to take away the heat off of his performances, but yeah, right, he should be upset. But this for me is the hardest one to call because you're talking about Middlesbrough and Stoke, who really should be 2 teams that are probably maybe slightly higher up the league and also should be in better form than they are. So I honestly don't know which way to go with this. So on that basis, barnstorming 3-3 because I genuinely have no idea. I have no idea. I mean, Stoke are so hit and miss, mainly missing at the minute, but then occasionally they'll just rock up with one of these massive results. And Borough are exactly the same. They'll get beat 4-1 by someone one week and then turn another team over 4-0. So on law of averages, 3-3.
I wasn't expecting 3-0 because I'm just looking at Stoke's last 6 games. Obviously, the 3 losses they've had in those 6 games have been teams much higher up in the playoffs: Barnsley, Brentford, and Swansea, and their 3 wins of Sheffield Wednesday, who are around the bottom, Luton higher up, and Wycombe who are bottom, obviously. So this does point out to a 3-3 draw. I can't agree. But no, I can't. No, I'm going to go Middlesbrough. I think Middlesbrough will want to bounce back from the disallowed goal, which I was hoping you was on about, Charlie, not the penalty, but the disallowed goal.
Sorry.
But yeah, I think Middlesbrough win this one 2-1. Hey.
I mean, you've both basically alluded to it. It is essentially toss of a coin, this game, isn't it? Because Stoke, albeit, as Craig says, you basically nicked what I was going to say. They've beaten 3 teams near the bottom and lost to 3 teams near the top. But rather more worryingly, their home form is suddenly brilliant and their away form is suddenly awful, which is they were almost unbeatable away from home earlier in the season, albeit almost with draws every game. So I think I have to go for a draw because it's still Stoke's most common away result. They're playing against a team sort of between those top 6 sides and bottom 6 sides. So why not go for it? I'm going to go for... I actually agree with Charlie. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but not as high-scoring. So I'm going for 2 apiece.
Up next to the City Ground, it is Nottingham Forest versus Reading. Charlie, Reading back to a comfortable winning way.
I'm glad you said that because I think actually Reading are, they are in a decent bit of form. But then Forest, we just mentioned it with Stoke and Middlesbrough. They can turn it on sometimes, and they have looked toothless. And then other times they've put teams to the sword. So I can't believe I'm saying this. I actually think it'll be a Chris Hughton, Nottingham Forest 1-0 special. I think they'll soak up the play, and I think they'll try and do it that way. Because I think actually defensively they haven't been woeful. They haven't been the best, but they haven't been woeful. And Reading occasionally just have these moments where they'll have tons of possession, tons of shots, and won't score. So I can't believe I'm going to say this, but a very dogged, resolute, sneaked 1-0 win for Nottingham Forest. But it probably won't happen.
Well, Troy, I'll give you a stat. Forest is 5 out of the last 6 games have been 1-0 either way. So I can understand.
They're in there.
I can understand why you've gone for 1-0. Reading 3 straight wins. To be fair, obviously beaten Brentford, they've beaten. That's wrong, 13. Reading, 3 straight wins for Reading. Obviously beaten Rotherham and Blackburn 1-0, and then beaten Sheffield Wednesday 3-0. So they defensively just shored up again. Liam Moore being back in the side has been helpful. He has been missed in a lot of the season. And I can see Reading winning this one as well, to be honest. I'm going to go for 2-0 to Reading. Cody.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Charlie's 1-0, but the opposite way, because Nottingham Forest, they did exactly the same against Watford. They did against Luton. They had plenty of shots on goal, didn't hit the target once, and lost 1-0. It's such a reoccurring theme, and it's frightening how frequently it's happened. Reading are back in form. They're not conceding. I think it'll be a tight game, but I'm going to go for 1-0 to Reading.
Up next, the Kia Prince Foundation then. It's Queen's Park Rangers versus Huddersfield. Queen's Park Rangers codes, obviously, they had another victory, and it's against Wycombe.
It is, and it's a home win, which makes this a bit harder because they're not always great at home, QPR. Their side suited to playing away more. But then they did beat Bournemouth recently as well. So I have to back QPR because Huddersfield are in freefall. I think I saw this calendar year, they've got the worst record in the league. Their points per game is about 0.54. And it's like them and Wycombe are in a league of their own and everyone else is nearly a point a game or more. So Huddersfield are in freefall. I predicted them to go down. I think they probably will now because it's a bad time to hit a bad patch. And Charlie Austin's in goal scoring form. QPR are playing well and they're consistent defensively most of the time now too. So I'm going to go for them to win it. I think it'll be really comfortable. I'm going to go for 3 or 4. 4-0.
I'm going to have to agree with you, to be honest. It's a QPR win. I don't know what's gone wrong for Huddersfield. Maybe the lack of managerial experience for Huddersfield is starting to wane a little bit on the players. I don't know. Because it was a patch early in the season where they were flying and now they've just completely dropped off again. 19th in the... I don't know how they beat Swansea. I really don't know how they beat Swansea. But I think QPR will win this game. Not by 4, half that, it'll be 2. 2-0 QPR. Charlie.
I agree. I think I don't think even they know how to beat Swansea, to answer your question, Craig, to be brutally honest. No, I'll go for QPR win. I did have 3-0 on my head, but seeing as Dan's gone 4, you've gone 2, I'll change that. I think I completely agree. Charlie Austin, Elias Chair, all on form, but occasionally QPR do get a little bit ropey at the back. So I think Huddersfield might get one possibly against the run of play or a bit of a lapse in concentration or something like that. So I'm going to go QPR to get 3 goals, but Huddersfield 1, so 3-1.
Final game on Saturday, it is Wycombe Wanderers versus Preston North End. Obviously, Wycombe just rooted to the bottom of the table, Charlie. And is this one of the games that you could probably say, you know what, I think they actually might get something from this?
Yes, it is, Craig. I'm backing them for a win on this one. Because I think everything about it, there's a bit less pressure on them, which I know wasn't anyway going to happen. But actually, Preston can be so erratic and probably haven't fared as well against teams lower down the league. So on that basis, I think Wycombe will get a bit of a free hit on this, and I think they'll show up. I don't think they're going to be, they don't score bags of goals. Joe Jacobson will get a penalty, and there'll be a late corner, 2-0.
2-0 Wycombe.
2-0 Wycombe.
I'm going to answer my own question. No, I don't think they'll get anything in this game. Because I think Preston this is probably the game where the Preston will turn up. I'm going to go, I'm going to go same scoreline you just went for, but opposite way, Charlie. 2-0 to Preston. Cody.
Which means for the first time today, Craig, I think somebody's getting a point because I am sat right in the middle. I know Wycombe haven't scored for 4 games. I know they haven't been pushed out of games by a million miles. And 2 of those games were Norwich and Watford. And QPR are in good form too. And it was only 1-0. So I think they will get a goal against a weaker defence. And Preston, as you mentioned, they could turn up and win by 4. They could turn up and roll over. But I think they're going to be somewhere in the middle. So I'm going to go for the Championship's favourite scoreline, 1 apiece.
And the final game on Sunday, it is Sheffield Wednesday versus Norwich. 6 straight defeats now for Sheffield Wednesday. Do you see them climbing out of the relegation zone, Coates?
I don't know if they'll get out of the relegation zone, but it's only going to be a matter of time before Darren Moore gets something out of this side. I have a lot of faith in him in the short term to produce something. But against Norwich, you have to be a very stern and bold man to predict them to win, because Norwich have won 6 in a row and they have been absolutely sensational. Against a very similar standard side, Luton, you'd have to say, based on the Luton-Sheffield Wednesday game recently, they wiped the floor with us, even when we were probably not far off our best defensively. So for me, it's going to be a comfortable Norwich win. The Sheffield Wednesday bounce starts next week. Sunday, they're going to lose by 3-1.
Charlie?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with Dan. There's just that tiny nagging bit. Remember when Luton got a result against Norwich at home, and it just occasionally, I think Norwich are in too much good form. But I do agree with Dan. I mean, things when we said about Darren Moore coming in, it was always his start was horrendous in terms of fixtures that they had. So, I think, like you say, get through this weekend. I don't know where the Wednesday goals are going to come from, if I'm honest. So on that basis, similar to Dan, 3-0, no goals for Wednesday.
Yeah, we all have to agree on the Norwich win. Obviously, I thought Norwich were fantastic on Saturday against Luton. They scored at the right time, because Luton could have been 1-0 up against them if Collins takes his chance, and then they scored a really good goal from Pukki. Really, really good goal. Sheffield Wednesday, I tipped them to go down, and I still think they'll go down. Do I think they'll score? No, because defensively Norwich are very good. How many do they get, Norwich, is the question. Because you both won for 3. I'm going to go 4. I'm going to go 4 for Norwich. Let's have a quick recap of what we just predicted. High scoring draw for Charlie and Cody in Middlesbrough versus Stoke with 3-3 and 2-2 respectively. I've gone bold for Norwich to batter Sheffield Wednesday 4-0. And Cody's also going for a 4-0 QPR win against Huddersfield. And those are our predictions from Matchday 36. Do you agree with us or disagree with us? Let us know in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, give this video a like, subscribe to On This Football Podcast, click the notification bell. We have got more championship predictions coming up soon, interviews with former professional footballers and personalities in the media, and manager special, whoever gets the next sacking. You can follow us on Twitter @HonestFootball3, and we'll see you next time.